the midday news on 3FM 92.7, coming to you from our studios here at Adesawe, Kanda, Accra. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Coming up this afternoon, thousands of supporters of opposition NDC pour onto the street in a massive nationwide protest against the Electoral Commission. We're live across the regions for updates. Also, the West African Network for Peace Building, ONEP, is advocating for increased dialogue and engagement in addressing political differences ahead of the December elections. Later in the bulletin, we tell you why the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Alban Bagbin, says he is convinced about the evidence received on state capture by some government. Details of these and more shortly. Many thanks for joining us. The bulletin starts right here, right now. And this afternoon, thousands of supporters of the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, have taken to the streets across all 16 regional capitals of the country to protest against the Electoral Commission, EC. The opposition party is demanding that the EC allows a forensic audit of the voters' register ahead of the December elections, claiming several anomalies, including illegal mass transfers of voters by electoral officers, an act the NDC alleges is part of a grand scheme to rig the December 7 general elections. The EC, which has rejected the NDC's call for an audit, insists the anomalies identified by the opposition party have been rectified through the EC's robust mechanisms. But the NDC says the EC's explanation does not wash. Here in the capital city, the national chairman of the party, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, and other big wigs are leading the march to present a petition to the Electoral Commission. Let's listen to Johnson Esiedun Ketia as he addressed the mammoth crowd at the Obra Sports near the Nkrumah Circle prior to the commencement of the protest.
Some people died, and that is the reason why we are living today. And so today is our time. We must not let our ancestors down. We must not let our future generations down. It is our time to fight. What we are doing is to prevent war in this country. If you want to prevent war, you fight to remove everything that has a tendency to generate into war. There's no option. There's no sitting on the fence. If you sit on the fence today and allow conflict to mature into war, you will be conscripted into the army to fight and die. So instead of waiting for war to break, for you to be conscripted to go and fight and die, fight now against the elements that are generating the conflict. Not for any big favor. We are not asking for a favor for Electoral Commission or the Nakufado or Baumia. We are demanding our right to free and fair elections. So we are warning them. Today is only the beginning. If they think that after the demonstration everybody will go to sleep if they don't accede to the request, they are joking. Restricted this demonstration to regional offices. The next demonstration will go to district and constituency offices of the Electoral Commission. And we will fight and fight and fight till the meeting is done.
So let's take you around the country and bring you situational reports on how the demonstration is spanning out across those areas. Let's start from the Upper West region because my colleague Ibrahim Wangara is standing by. Wangara, thank you for joining us. Update us on the demonstration so far in the Upper West region.
Yes, good afternoon. The demonstration in the Upper West region ended successfully and peacefully. Short while ago, we have the Member of Parliament for West Central constituency who, on behalf of the party in the region, read the petition at the Electoral Commission head office before a copy was handed over to the Electoral Commission. But before the protest, we realized that a whole lot of people were passed from the various constituencies or districts across the 11 MMDAs within the Upper West region, where they converged at the ministry's Block C to embark on this enough is enough demonstration. But some of the things or key issues that the NDC in the Upper West region identified in their petition has to do with unauthorized voter transfer, where they claim that they have evidence of 243,500 illegal transfers in the 2024 DAR, including repeated transfers without the knowledge of affected voters. They have also identified unidentifiable voter transfer cards, and then the deletion of registered voters nearly to 4,000, and the misplaced voter transfer approximately 2,094 voters, according to them, were transferred to different polling stations. And then corrupt data files and EC's delay in transparency are among some of the key issues
they
that
have
have
raised.
been identified. Also, admission by the EC of manipulation, that is where the EC admitted to errors and illegal voter transfers during a press conference. And then the impact of the 2024 general elections. These discrepancies, errors in data distortions, and irregularities, according to the NDC, threatens the credibility of the upcoming election. So these are some of the key issues they have identified in the Upper West region.
Wangara, so if I hear you right, then it means they have already submitted their petition to the EC office. There what was a response, and who received the petition?
Yes, the Electoral Commission Director, Mr. Ali, after receiving the petition, assured the party that he was going to ensure a soft copy is being emailed to the head office sooner or within the possible time. And then afterwards, another hard copy will be followed up to the head office, where the Electoral Commission board and the other deputies at the head office in Accra will determine the state of the petition. So that was the response from the Electoral Commission Regional Board in the Upper West region.
Elsewhere, we are hearing that the police is having difficulty with the demonstrators because they are not using the approved routes. Has that come up in your area? What is the level of compliance there and the security arrangements?
Not at all, because Upper West here, there have been an absolute compliance to the demonstrators and that of the security agencies. Before the kickstart of the demonstration, the regional police commander addressed the gathering, and he told them the route they will be embarking on and the arrangement, which he pleaded with the demonstrators that he said he wants to set a legacy because the thing is a national demonstration. They want the Upper West zone to be free and then peaceful, so that no hitches will be recorded in their activities. So he called on the demonstrators to comply with him and his team to ensure a smooth demonstration. And yes, indeed, it has come to pass. They had a very successful and peaceful demonstration without any hitches.
All right. So, Wangara, does it look like it's coming to an end anytime soon?
As I speak with you, the demonstrators have been there, and then but we were told that others will be converging at the party regional secretariat just for them to have one or two deliberations before they can dispatch. But currently, as we speak, we are all moving to our various destinations aside those that will be meeting at the party regional head office.
All right. Wangara, thank you for that update. My colleague Ibrahim Wangara updating us on the Enough is Enough demonstration by the NDC from the Upper West region. He tells us the party has been able to submit their petition to the EC, and the EC has assured that it will make sure the headquarters here in Accra receives a copy of that petition. So if you just tuned in, this is the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. We are bringing you up to speed on the nationwide Enough is Enough demonstration by the Opposition National Democratic Congress to pile pressure on the EC to allow for a forensic audit of the electoral roll, even as we approach the December 7 elections. We have had some of the NDC bigwigs speaking to our reporters across the length and breadth of the country. Let's go to the Eastern region now and speak to my colleague in the region. Yvonne Nikwe is joining me. Yvonne, bring us up to speed. What is happening in the Eastern region?
The process here by the NDC in the Eastern region has ended, but the police are still at the electoral commission office with everything you can think of to still protect the electoral commission. I can say that probably it will be a long day for them at the EC's office. And so they're hoping that they keep an eye of the EC's offices and personnel working there till the close of the day. But as I speak, every event for the demonstration in the Eastern region has ended. Simply, the leaders there, as we know across the country, are asking that the electoral commission do have a forensic audit of the voters register because 8 constituencies, they have done analysis, do have irregularities when it comes to the transfer of votes and then the proxy votes.
Yvonne, you mentioned that the police is likely to spend a lot of time at the EC head office. Why has that become so? Does it mean the demonstrators are not leaving the place?
Well, the demonstrators have left the place, but we see 1 or 2 of them lurking around the electoral commission's office and then the central business district. Mind you, the electoral commission's office here in the Eastern region is not so far from the central business district where the protesters are still hanging around. And so perhaps for the police, they would want to stay there for a longer period so that they are not taken unawares of what anybody could likely do to the EC's building or probably the personnel who are working in that particular office, because this particular demonstration is against the electoral commission, who said is Jane Mensa.
All right, Yvonne, thank you for that update. What was the response of the EC when they received the petition from the protesters?
Well, the Electoral Commission Eastern Regional Director here, John Apia Bafo, received the petition. He says that he would give it an onward submission to its national office for redress of the demands the NDC are asking.
All right, my colleague Yvonne Nikwe updating us on the Enough is Enough demonstration by the NDC in the Upper East region. Let us go to what has been described as the World Bank of the NDC, the Volta region, and my colleague Faisal Abdul Idris, who is in Ho. He's updating us. Faisal, we've seen images in Ho and the capital is painted in red. What more do you have for us as far as this protest is concerned?
Well, the demonstration has been terminated right here at the office of the Electoral Commission in Ko, where a petition was presented to the director here in the region by the regional chairman of the NDC. Upon receiving the petition, they told the team, the protesters, that yes, they will go and look into their petition and act accordingly as to whether they will indeed in any way succumb to the demand for a forensic audit by the NDC. We look forward to seeing that. But currently, leadership of the party led by Hammoah Agyemang and the chairman for the Volta region are addressing the protesters here in front of the Electoral Commission, after which they would disperse them to their various consequences.
Earlier, Samuel Okudjota spoke to us. We can listen to him now. Samuel Okudjota earlier spoke to us. We can hear him.
No, first of all, it's important to emphasize that the stability of our country, the peace of our country, is being toyed with by this reckless, incompetent, inept, and biased Electoral Commission. We are sending a very clear message to the Jane Mensa-led Electoral Commission. What has changed? When she was at the IEA, she was called for an independent audit of the register. In 2015, she issued a statement ahead of the 2016 elections as IEA boss, calling for an independent audit. So what has changed? Why is she so averse suddenly? Why does she lack principle? Why is she so dishonest? Why can't she be consistent? We will not accept that. The tried and tested mechanisms, which we have used always, anytime, are sending a very clear message that we will stand to protect the peace and stability of our country. We will continue to protest until the register is cleaned up, until the Electoral Commission agrees to a forensic audit. If they do not agree, we are going to continue to ratchet up agitations. We are going to continue with these demonstrations. This is just the regional level. If they don't listen, there will be a district level across all districts in the country. So it is in the interest of the Agyemang-led Electoral Commission. We know they are biased. We know that they have been so inept, they have been so incompetent, but at least they should save face and listen to the millions of Ghanaians across the country from the Volta region.
Faisal, who else has been speaking at the demonstration this morning?
Well, we had the Member of Parliament for South Guy, Robson Nelson, who also told us that even though the Electoral Commission says that it's already undertaking an audit by way of executing the register, that in itself is not 100% and cannot give us a credible register. We have the Vice Presidential candidate for the PLC, Madame Akofa Oligis, who also spoke to us earlier today, telling us that they agree with the NDC on the need for a credible register, reason why the PLC is joining. I've seen a couple of independent parliamentary candidates here in the vote region, particularly Mao Longclucher for the whole central constituency, who also told us that they are in tandem with the NDC and are also joining the demonstration to ensure that the Electoral Commission listens to them. Let me, however, point out that indeed today, the police, on the other hand, have given us a good showing from the start of the demonstration to the very end of it. They've been very professional, acted in a way that actually ensured a very peaceful outing here in the regional capital hall.
Faisal, so another thing that's caused a lot of attention on social media is that we saw the deity or some traditional performances at the demonstration. Can you explain that to us?
Yes. What you see is the Azangbe deity, which we understand a tax model sort of deity. It works and you feel that maybe there is a human being there, but there is not. I have seen them display a couple of times, and all you see and that is when they raise the tax. It's either one creature of, say, a snake, a crocodile, or an alligator, or probably a tortoise. But it works just like a human being. Oftentimes when they display it, people think there is a human being there, but there is not.
It is not.
Today they brought that to the demonstration ground. As to what they intend communicating with the deity on the ground, I have no knowledge of it.
But indeed, Faisal.
It is something, usually you see the display as a form of entertainment, but it's actually a deity.
Okay. Faisal, thank you for that update. My colleague in the Volta region updating us there. Let us listen to Minority Chief Grace Hammoah, who also spoke at the demonstration.
Not solve the situation. Yes, they are calling you to the table. They want you to come for a dialogue. And the demonstration when you have connived with NPP to gerrymander the register to give them an undue advantage, and you tell us that exercising our civic responsibility will not solve the problem, we shall show them what will solve the problem. We shall do what? We shall show them what will solve the problem. And you think this will? Oh, you wait and see. The Electoral Commission is not the independence in doing their work, is doing proper work. If they are so incompetent, the Constitution does not allow them to be so incompetent. So that independence stops when you become incompetent. Jean Mensa is just an appendage of the NPP, and I've been saying this all along. She's not on top of her job. Completely useless. If this is one of the actions you are taking against the EC, is this going to be the last of it? No, it will not be. It will not be. You will see more actions. But I can guarantee them, they must allow for an independent audit of the register. Jean Mensa herself has called for independent audit of registers in the past.
Minority Chief Grace Hammoah there. We're still live on the midday news on 3FM 92.7. If you just joined us, we have been bringing you live coverage of a nationwide protest by the main opposition, National Democratic Congress, who are seeking to pile pressure on the Electoral Commission to give to their demand for a forensic audit of the voters' register. The claim, among others, that the electoral roll is bloated and fraught with numerous irregularities, including illegal transfer of hundreds of voters who risk being disenfranchised. So we're still taking you round the country to bring you reactions on how the demonstration is going. But let us listen to Chairman of the National Peace Council, Reverend Dr. Ernest Edujemfi, on this demonstration and the call for a forensic audit by the NDC and others.
Well, everybody has a right to demonstrate, no matter what your grievance is. So we don't want to appear to be judging anybody in this matter. All we are saying is let there be cool heads. Let's go through the processes and identify what the issues are, isolate them, and deal with them. We have to get to where we think that is necessary. For us now, I don't think that we are in the position. We have just finished the exhibition. Whatever errors we have found, let's put them on the table and get them corrected. But once you've done the correction, then you can move on to say that, okay, we are still satisfied or we are not satisfied. If we do the correction, everybody is satisfied. Is there a need for forensic audit? But the issue is that you need to, once you start a process, let the whole process roll. You've done exhibition. People have raised issues. Those who are dead, who are this and that and that. Clean it up first. And then put it out and say that, okay, we've done the cleanup, this is it. If we still think that there are problems, then we call for the audit.
Well, we can also listen to the Executive Director for IDEC, who says the EC should consider the calls for an audit of the electoral rule. Dr. Emmanuel Akwete is IDEC's Executive Director.
Yes, I think because of the evidence of mistrust between the two institutions, I think it ought to be resolved. And if bilaterally they can't do the job because of their suspicions, then it's important to have a third party, like an arbitrator. You know, in every situation where there is an impasse or two people cannot sit together, in across all domains, you get a third person that they could talk through to be able to find a way forward. And truly it's in our interest that NDC and MPP and the Electoral Commission are always to discuss issues in a very cordial manner. You know, they are the referees, they are the rule makers. FIFA and its referees and footballers, no matter the tension, no matter the stakes, they find a way to work together. And I think that is what we can say now. We were a bit concerned about if it's the register and its integrity and credibility and what would assure that. We think it should be a conversation, but we have two dominant parties, major parties. They are the ones in parliament today, and they tend to have a strong following. So when it got to the point where NDC would call us mobilize citizens and its members on the street to put pressure for something to be done, we thought that we could also add our voice. This EC is the only thing we have.
Executive Director of IDEC, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete there. In a related development, the West African Network for Peace Building, WANEP, is advocating for increased dialogue and engagement in addressing political differences, particularly regarding the ongoing disagreement between the NDC and the Electoral Commission over the voters' register. According to Executive Director Lavinia Adai-Mensah, there's still room for constructive engagement on the matter. She made these remarks on the sidelines of a stakeholder engagement aimed at promoting a peaceful electoral process. My colleague Noble Crosby Annan has been sitting through the event, joins us on phone. Crosby, tell us more about what WANEP has been saying on this ongoing issue.
Right, so Grace, this is something that has come to the attention of WANEP, particularly as the country is moving towards elections. There's been the need to engage with political parties to promote participation and inclusion in the electoral process of the country. The objectives of this engagement is to encourage political parties on the need to coordinate and mainstream their party policies, enable political parties to better articulate and develop media and campaign strategies aimed at combating hate speech, partisan messages, amongst others. They're also concerned about the political atmosphere in the country in the lead up to the elections, Grace.
Do we know whether ONEP is making some recommendations on how to go about solving this issue? Does it look like they want to meet the political parties and the EC?
Well, ONEP is still saying that there's still avenues for more dialogue and more engagement between the political parties and the Electoral Commission. So the perception that dialogue will not work between the EC and the NDC on the electoral register, ONEP is emphatic that there are various means of dialogue that could use the backdoor approach of dialogue, which may not be in the limelight, and eventually there will be resolution to this impasse.
Crosby, thank you for that update. My colleague Noble Crosby and updating us from that ONEP dialogue on how to resolve issues. Let's still stay on this story and do a lot more. The flag bearer of the NDC is clapping back at the vice president over comments that he has engaged in indecent campaigning. John Mahama has had calls to call out men of faith whom he says must rise up and speak out against economic mismanagement and maladministration by current government. Speaking to supporters of the party on the day 2 of his Greater Accra campaign, John Mahama says he stands by his words.
There's no transparency in our debt management. The only time we hear how much we owe as Ghanaians is when the Minister of Finance is reading the budget and he tells us what our debt to GDP is. NDC is going to come and change that. We're going to make the debt management department of the Finance Ministry a separate autonomous department. It will be a debt management authority, and it will have a head who would be autonomous, and he will publish every quarter what our debt to GDP numbers are. Aside from that, we're going to change part of the Public Financial Management Act, and we'll put a clause there that caps how much money a finance minister can borrow. I said that hypocrisy is one of the things drawing our nation back, and I hear my colleague or my opponent is describing it as insults. When you have done such harm to this country and you go and a chief is thanking you and praising you, is it not hypocrisy? When you've done such harm to this country and you go and a priest is praying for you and commending you for what you've done, is it not hypocrisy? When you have done such harm to this country and destroyed our economy and landed us into debt, and you go and a fetish priest is pouring a schnapps on gods and praising you and saying his gods will follow you to victory, is it not hypocrisy? If I say that, have I insulted you? I haven't insulted anybody. I'm just saying the truth.
NDC flag bearer John Mahama there. This is still the midday news on 3FM 92.7. If you just joined us, you haven't missed much. We have been bringing you the live coverage of a nationwide protest by the main oppositional NDC, who are seeking to pile pressure on the Electoral Commission to allow for a forensic audit of the voters' register, and the claim, among others, that the electoral roll is bloated and fraught with numerous irregularities, including illegal transfer of hundreds of voters who risk being disenfranchised. We took you through the length and breadth of the country. We know that protest has ended in some parts of the country. In the Upper West region, the party has submitted its petition to the EC. We know also in the Eastern region, the party has also submitted its petition to the EC. Here in Accra, it is still ongoing, and my colleague Beatrice Edu is joining us from the Electoral Commission head office. Beatrice, if you can hear me, bring us up to speed on what is happening at the EC office.
3FM 92.7.
Beatrice, if you can hear me, update us on what is happening at the EC head office.
Exactly. Grace, if you can see me, there are some police officers in your shot who are getting ready to receive the thousands of protesters participating in this Enough is Enough demonstration. And I can tell you that there are dozens of them. There are 2 levels of barricades where I am right now. I'm sure you can see it in the background. If you cross over to the other side of the entrance to of the Electoral Commission, there are other levels of barricades as well. So you can simply say that there's a whole 360-degree barricades around the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. Aside from these armed police officers you can see in your shot, there are more of them, if not hundreds, within the compound of the headquarters of the Electoral Commission. The understanding is that they do know that thousands are taking part in this demonstration. They don't want to leave anything to chance. And so they are just on standby, fired up, getting ready to ensure that they are able to receive these numbers that are coming in incident-free and ensure there is law and order without any violence. So that's basically what's happening here. The police officers are not speaking to the media yet because their concentration is on ensuring that the measures they put in place are robust enough to ensure that if anybody wants to go against the law, they are ready to deal with a person.
Have you been able to, have you cited any of the EC officials there? Have you been able to engage any of them? How does it look like there?
Not yet. I can only tell you that I just had a peek through the compound of the Electoral Commission. And like I just said, hundreds, I'm not sure of the number, but a lot more of the police officers, all of them armed, are on the compound of the Electoral Commission. We're told that when the protesters get here, then perhaps there will be an opportunity for us to go in there. But for now, because they do not want to have the security breached, they are keeping all of us here whilst they are getting ready to receive the crowd.
How is this affecting traffic flow in the area?
For here, I wouldn't say that there's any problem with traffic because the protesters have not reached here yet. Some minutes ago, I heard some loud chants of songs and loud music, so I suspected they might have been very close, either at the National Theatre or perhaps at Parliament, but they are not close yet. So as I'm speaking with you, just right opposite me, I can see vehicles moving very smoothly, and there's no challenge with traffic at all.
All right, Beatrice, thank you for that succinct update. Beatrice Edu, my colleague, bringing us up to speed on what is happening at the EC head office. He tells us that protesters are yet to get there, and when they do, we'll definitely connect with her to bring us the latest on what the petition presentation has been and the response of the EC. Let us speak to Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, a political analyst and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Doc, it's good to have you join us this afternoon. Is the NDC being unreasonable with their demand by taking it this far to a nationwide demonstration? Doc, can you hear me? We're working the phone to speak to Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere, a political analyst and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, who is going to speak to us on the demonstration by the EC and by the NDC and other demands that it has come. Doc, can you hear me? Good afternoon and welcome to 3FM. Well, we have challenges connecting to Dr. Jonathan Asante-Okyere. When we do, we'll bring him in and seek his thoughts on what he makes of this. Let us go to Judith, our Chitando, my colleague, also on the beat. Judith, bring us up to speed on what is happening at where you are.
Madam so Grace, kindly, the protesters have reached the National Theatre, and luckily it's been a very peaceful protest. They're walking in their numbers. In fact, thousands of them, passionate Ghanaians and members of the National Democratic Congress, are gathered here. They are seeking to demand an independent forensic audit into the voters' register. And basically, normal Ghanaians who are pressing home their demand for this audit, most of them have issues that are of fair and better nature. They say that the cost of living crisis is very high. For instance, I've been speaking to some market women, and for them, this is not really about a voters' register, but about what they're going through as citizens in the country. And they want the president to do something about it. They believe that this is their time to vote the president out and the NPP in general out of power. So for them, that's their matter. But basically, we know that this is an issue with regards to the electoral process and the voters' register. And so right now, they are still moving towards the Electoral Commission. I spoke to Sam Notte George earlier whilst they were protesting, and he says that they are not yet going to seek any legal redress for this matter. And if you could quite recall, in 2016, 2016 or 2020, they had issues with the voters register as well. And when they sought legal redress in court, they did not get the solutions they wanted. The Electoral Commission did not respond to their concerns. And so they say that this time they're not going to look at the court. They're not going to seek any legal redress. There's no court matter in this case. They are going to protest and make sure that the Electoral Commission heeds to their calls. And so this is basically what they are seeking to do. But you have to see whether this process will actually bring the solutions that these people are calling for. If not, we'll see the next action that the party will bring forth. So that's what's currently happening right here on the demonstration grounds. Great.
All right, Judith, thank you for bringing us that update. My colleague Judith, our Chitando, she tells us the protest has been smooth so far where she is, and the protesters are heading towards the EC head office to present their petition to the EC. Their calls include the EC allowing for a forensic audit into the electoral roll and all the other issues that it has come with. We can now take a break and allow Menu Afo to bring us the latest in the world of business, and then we'll come back and take you around the country, the other regions, as well as the national capital, where the protesters are expected to present their petition to the EC head office. This is the midday news on 3FM 92.7, an extended coverage of the NDC's Enough is Enough demonstration. Time now for business with Minu Afo.
Frequency 92.7 3FM.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Ghana loses over 1/3 of 2023-24 cocoa output to smuggling amid price disparities. We'll bring you details. Also, about 40,000 farmers set to benefit from government's $69.7 million affordable agricultural financing for Resilient Rural Development Initiative. We'll hear from Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. My name is Minu Afo. We'll bring you details of these and more shortly. Now straight to our first story. Ghana's cocoa sector is grappling with significant losses as over 160,000 metric tons of cocoa have been lost to smuggling in the 2023-2024 season. The situation, fueled by higher prices in neighboring countries and delays in local payments, threatens the country's cocoa output, marking its steepest decline in over 2 decades. My colleague Bismarck Ausa has the details in the following report.
Ghana has lost more than 1/3 of its 2023-2024 cocoa output to smuggling, with over 160,000 metric tons illegally exported to neighboring countries like Togo and Ivory Coast. A top official from Cocoa Board says this surge in smuggling is due to higher prices and more stable currencies in these countries compared to Ghana's delayed payments and local price challenges. Charles Amenyaglo, head of Cocoa Board's anti-smuggling task force, notes that while the military is being deployed to tackle the traffickers, more sophisticated smuggling tactics, such as hiding cocoa in fuel tankers, have made the situation more dire. Ghana, the world's second largest cocoa producer, is also grappling with its supply deficit due to poor harvests, adding pressure to the global market. With a new funding model and increased farm gate prices for the upcoming 2024-2025 season, farmers hope the changes will curb smuggling, but concerns remain over a weakening currency.
That was a 3 Business News Desk report by my colleague Bismarck Awusa on Ghana losing over 1/3 of the 2023-2024 cocoa output to smuggling. Now, a senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah, fears recent Bank of Ghana fraud reports could impact confidence in the banking sector. Data from the Central Bank's 2023 fraud report reveals that staff-related fraud from banks and specialized deposit-taking institutions rose from 188 in 2022 to 274 in 2023, representing an increase of 46%. Speaking to 3 Business, Dr. Benjamin Amoah said banks should put measures in place to safeguard their sector's already struggling confidence.
If the banking sector has recorded fraud-related loss of 63 million Ghana cedis, then we all have to be worried. Why? Because these are frauds that has been attributed to employees of the banks. If these trends should continue, confidence in the banking sector will be negatively affected, and all the success that we have achieved by way of getting a lot more of our population to be included in the financial services sector will be affected. We should understand that fraud is about the people. And so banks can also invest in training the staff. Training will help also reduce some of these staff involvement in fraud.
Senior finance lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Benjamin Amoah. There. Away from that, Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has announced that approximately 40,000 farmers are set to benefit from the government's affordable agricultural financing for resilient rural development initiative. The scheme forms part of efforts to strengthen the agricultural sector. With an estimated budget of almost $70 million, the project will provide capacity building, advocacy and financial services to support local farmers. Dr. Amin Adam made the announcements during the 5th anniversary conference of the Ghana Incentive-Based Risk-Sharing System for Agricultural Lending held in Accra.
Like most developing economies, agriculture remains the backbone of our economy, providing livelihoods for millions of our people, ensuring food security and driving exports. However, one of the greatest challenges our farmers and agribusinesses face over the years has been access to affordable credit. The financial risk associated with agricultural lending has long been a barrier to growth, to innovation, and to sustainability. This is where the role of GESA has been truly transformative. We also recognize the vital role of partner financial institutions working with GESA on this journey.
That was Minister of Finance Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam there. Now, speaking at the same event, CEO Kwesi Gyia disclosed that over 1.2 billion cedis in credit has been released by banks to the agricultural sector in recent years. He also noted that the number of banks providing loans to the sector has increased more than tenfold, signaling growing interest and confidence from financial institutions in agriculture.
We support the banks with a credit guarantee which provides them the comfort and the assurance to be able to give out these loans. In addition to these, we also provide expert technical services which makes the funding more effective. So it's on the back of these services that we provide the banks that the banks themselves have lent out the 1.2 billion cedis to agribusinesses. Some of it is gone into export commodities. And so the value of the exports that GESA and the banks have leveraged to agribusinesses is what amounts to the over $5 million that we're talking about. Over the next couple of years, if I look out, say, for the next 5 years, I think the banks increasingly are becoming more confident and comfortable in lending. So our role will shift to a more technical support nature. In addition to that, we will then focus our credit guarantee on the critical areas, for instance, large-scale production, larger farms, the rubber initiatives, and other key areas where the country needs support to be able to make more impact.
Kwesi Jia is CEO of GERSL, that's the Ghana Incentive-Based Risk Sharing System for Agricultural Lending. Well, that's it for Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, kindly visit our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Minu. For we have more news for you on the upcoming election. Do stay tuned.
Busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
3 FM.
Welcome back. This is the midday news on 3 FM 92.7. We are still here. If you just joined us, we've been bringing you live coverage of the nationwide protests by the main opposition National Democratic Congress, who are seeking to pile pressure on the Electoral Commission to give to their demand for a forensic audit of the voters' register. The claim, among others, that the electoral roll is bloated and fraught with numerous irregularities, including illegal transfer of hundreds of voters who risk being disenfranchised. We have been taking you around the country, and our correspondents tell us, well, the protest has ended in some regions. In the Upper West region, it has ended. In the Volta region, it has also ended. And now, in the Greater Accra, the crowd is gradually getting to the EC head office to present their petition. We can bring in political science analyst Dr. Jonathan Asante Otri, a political analyst and a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. Doc, thank you for joining us. I'm sure you have been following the demonstration since morning. What will be your first reaction to this?
Well, let me say good afternoon to your listeners. I don't know if I'm on TV or I'm on radio.
Doc, you're live on 3FM 92.7.
Oh, okay. Good afternoon, Grace, and good afternoon to all your listeners.
It's good to have you join us, Doc.
I'm really overwhelmed about the sheer numbers that, all media houses are reporting to have attended this particular demonstration. Especially, Kumasi, because some of us thought that that happens to be a stronghold of the political party, the main opponent of the NDC. And we know traditionally the voting pattern that has that part of the country is noted for. And so, for me, it is really, really impressive and overwhelming. I never thought that we could see or hear such sheer numbers attending this particular demonstration, especially in Kumasi. But if you listen to all the other reporters from different parts of the country, I mean, even areas like I saw one in Sunyani not long ago, and that one is even live and it's quite impressive. We could not pass through. We had to use a different turn, right, to negotiate a different angle altogether to get to our destination. And hearing other people report from Wa and other places is quite impressive. And I believe that this is really some kind of message that is being sent, not only to the EC, but of course the main opponent of the NDC.
Yes, Doc, this was just going to take me into my next question to you. Does the numbers we have seen today send any message across? Does it reflect the call that probably that's need for the audits of the electoral roll, or you say it is just a number of people who just want to join in the demonstration?
I did not hear the latter part of your question. Can you take it again?
So, Doc, I was asking that, looking at the numbers we have seen, does it mean that the call by the NDC for an audit of the roll resonates with the ordinary Ghanaian?
Yes, certainly. It resonates with the ordinary Ghanaian in the sense that I think it is not just merely NDC people who attended this particular demonstration. It appears all and sundry, and they were encouraged to not to wear the NDC paraphernalia, but to garb in red and black and so on and so forth. And so that represents a kind of unity or unified organization, so to speak. And so I think that this really resonates well with the ordinary Ghanaian and, of course, the NDC support base for that matter. And that is quite impressive. It tells you that really many people will want to see a freely and a fairly organized election that will not be tainted with this or that. And, of course, they want to have a fair, playing ground for all of them, so that once you lose, you know you've lost. Once you win, it will be simply the fact that, your message went down well with the people, you bought into it, and then you won. It is not because someone used any administrative, kind of manipulation, as it were, to deny the mandate of the people. And so, as you rightly pointed out, it really resonates well with the people.
Doctor, we've had the EC over the time say that if the NDC wants to correct any anomaly or want to change what is happening now, it is not going to be through a demonstration. But looking at the numbers that we have seen and how successfully, we can describe the demonstration as panning out, are we likely to see a change from maybe the composure of the EC as a starting point to maybe an audit later? Is this likely to influence the posture or the composure of the EC in any way?
Well, I cannot speak for the EC, but if EC is so minded and they have nothing to hide and they really want to purge themselves of the mistrust that the NDC and ordinary Ghanaians, especially if you found out what Afrobarometer, wrote about the EC in terms of the percentage of Ghanaians that have trust in them, then I think that this is a clarion call that they should use this as a conduit to clear their name and gain the trust of all and sundry. Now, I can't speak for them, but looking at the sheer number, I think that the message is sent loud and clear. And it will really energize the civil society organizations, other important stakeholders, the Peace Council, the Christian Council, Catholic Bishop Conference, and all other important personalities within the country to also hit the call and put pressure on the EC to do the right thing. Because if this country bends, it bends for all of us.
And Doc, you made a call about the EC doing all that it can to win the trust of the opposition party. Going forward, what should we expect? What are you expecting to see for the EC to win back the trust of people?
I think they should call the important members, those that matter within the NDC, they should call them as early as possible. They should have that kind of emergency IPAC meeting and then probably demonstrate the corruption that they say they have done. And then ask the NDC to equally bring theirs. You see, and let's see. But you see, I see the strategy of the NDC. Now, if you say you have done corrections, okay, do a re-exhibition of it. Now, if the EC has something to hide, it will be very difficult for them to do a re-exhibition. And it will be very difficult for them to equally admit to this, forensic audit that ought to be done. But that is the more reason why they have gone on such a huge demonstration. The message has been sent loud and clear, and I think the next thing that they'll have to do is probably about vigilance and then monitoring and then ensuring that they securitize the processes along the line. But I believe that the EC from now should be ready to call the NDC and all other political parties to the table and let them open the books. And if it is something that they've not been able to, drill the system of the errors and the discrepancies that they are talking about, then I think that they must need the call for a forensic audit.
Doc, the NDC's worry is that the EC does not look like a body that believes in dialogue or even in IPAC. That is why they left IPAC for some time and then came back earlier this year. They think that IPAC, the discussions and conversations there do not work for them. That is why they are resorting to what they describe as other options.
Well, I agree with you in the sense that if persuasion fails, that fault must then be applied. And that's the more reason why they are doing so. But be that as it may, you still cannot be correcting errors on a demonstration field. You still have to be in a room, in a dialogue, or a third party will have to call in to, scrutinize the system and do that forensic audit that we are all calling for as a nation, especially when they have found so many errors and discrepancies here and there. They ought to open themselves up for that particular dialogue. That is the NDC. And then the EC must equally be ready and willing, to open up, because we never can tell the next action or the next move of the NDC. And getting closer to an election period, I think that the EC cannot afford, not to be trusted, because that will definitely jeopardize the security and the integrity of our democracy as far as the electoral processes are concerned.
Doc, maybe my final one. Would you say this is the first of many of such actions to follow? Because like our reporters have told us, it is not only the NDC that were in this demonstration. CSOs and other parties were also in it. We are like 3 months away from the election. Do you see this as the first of many to come from other parties or other bodies?
I would say yes and no. No or yes, if the yes would depend upon the pronouncement of the EC after this particular demonstration. Whether they are going to send an olive branch or something, then it means that the no will come in. So they wouldn't have any, or would not witnessing a series of demonstrations, because the series of demonstrations could easily jeopardize the stability of our democracy. Because all what it will take to create chaos is someone dying out of this particular demonstration. And that could be the conduit for other things that people have really wanted to do. You understand? People are really frustrated about this particular system. And so if something untoward happens, that will just be the trigger. So it is just about remote and immediate cause. I think that, I don't want to think we are going to see a series of that. But if we are not going to see a series of that, it will be dependent upon the pronouncement and responses of the UC after this particular demonstration.
All right, Doc, thank you so much for joining us on Media Live on 3FM 92.7. My name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. So we have been bringing you the live coverage or the nationwide coverage of this Enough is Enough demonstration by the NDC to pile pressure on the EC to, among others, allow for a forensic audit of the voters' register, even as we near the December 7 polls. Our reporters have told us the demonstration has ended in most parts of the country, and here in the Greater Accra region, the protesters are almost on their way to the EC head office. We'll bring you a lot more when they present the petition, the response of the EC, what it has been, and going forward, how this response is likely to influence the next activities of the NDC and the other parties and CSOs who have joined in this demonstration. Many thanks for joining us. You can log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. Stay also with us on all our social media platforms, because we have a lot more videos on what is happening there. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Accra gets busy on this frequency.